Styler, and I am back. We are talking about today back to school. Oh my gosh, who's excited about this? Excuse me, not me. It used to be something very exciting, but it's not anymore because they're right upstairs. They're here, they're there, they're right there. You need help, they're calling. We're week two, and my son has already put the teacher on mute, and he's up there cackling with his friends. So he's already basically thought I had that out of my system before I got on. He's already basically just cackling because he just don't want to deal. And I'm like, dude, we 2 weeks in. We don't know when it's gonna be over. You gotta deal with it. You gotta roll with it. You gotta make sure you know what you're doing. I mean, I'm just not. This is just. I feel for little kids that that have been home with grandma or their parents, and they're not going to experience that feeling of being out in school, recess, lunchtime, interacting with other kids, other personalities, things to that nature. Drinking my coffee today. And we really got to make it fun for them. We really got to make the effort to see them through what they need to do. Because if we don't, it's going to be hard for them when they do go back and they're still off and things are not as they were at home. So we have to make sure that we are I'm trying to position this thing. So we have to make sure that we are readily available to teach them and show them how to interact with other people. Don't give them their way, even when they're with their cousins. Don't give them their way. They can't have their way, because that's not how it's going to be in school. That's not how things are in the real world. You can't just get what you want when you want it, how you want it, because that's not how things are. You do have to work hard for things. You do have to be cautious of the people around you. You have to be considerate of the people around you, and sharing is caring. And people have to teach their kids that not this they stuff. They don't have to share their stuff. No, that's not entirely true, and that's not right to teach them that, because that's not how it is in the real world. In the real world, you might have to share workspace. You're going to have to share supplies, maybe. You might have to share the responsibilities of completing a task. You might have to share, different things that you're going to have to share, but it's not reality to tell your child, this your stuff, you don't got to share it. That stuff needs to be locked in their room then, because that's not reality. That's not the reality that we grew up for. So I fear that, children, especially children, middle school and under, are going to struggle with this time, because they have no interaction with any other kids, especially if you're an only child, especially if you don't have a good dynamic with your siblings in the house. They are the ones that are going to struggle. This is going to really affect them in a way that they may not come back from. And we have to be conscious of that as parents. We have to get them together with some other kids. We have to be conscious now of doing some playtime groups and things like that, because we need to make sure that excuse me, they have what they need to be successful. So set up some play groups, maybe another one child, opposite sex, and opposite upbringing, just to let them know, interact with somebody that's different from themselves, because they need that. They're going to need that more than anything, because the world is not all exactly what you have, exactly what you look like, exactly where you're from. Gee, golly wizard, I was not yawning until I started, but you already know that. That's how this go every time. But yeah, I just want you to be conscious of people, letting people know that kids need to interact with other kids outside of their normal routine, outside of their normal, who they're normally around. Because if they don't, when it's time to go back, you setting them up for failure. And we don't want our kids to fail. We want our kids to succeed. We want them to have great coping mechanisms and skills and things of that nature. But we have to be able to give them the tools to do that. I commend the parents that are still allowing their children to go out and play and see friends and do different things. I commend the parents that are making sure the lesson plans are right and they're helping their children, and they, adjusted their schedule at home, at work, to be able to do that. So, you are making a sacrifice for your children, but don't take it for granted. They need to be involved and in proximity with other children so that they can thrive, so that they can learn basic skills without just being able to text them. They need to be able to talk to people in a respectful way. They need to be able to interact with people in a respectful way. They need to be able to articulate the things they want and not text and all of that. They need to be able to articulate how they feel. They need to be able to articulate how something bothered them. They need those things, because if they don't, they're missing a valuable skill set. So make sure that we're not taking this time as, oh, they just need to know. And not just cousins. They need to be around other children. So you may need to get them in some type of groups where they can have social distant conversations and social distance playtimes and things like that, so that they can do better and have better, and let this be a prosperous year for them as well. So I'm say that to say, show your kids that it's not all about them, that they have people that they need to be generous of, be mindful of, and that this is not a bubble. It's not just their parents and them. They don't live in a bubble. So, yeah, we need to make sure that we do that, because otherwise, we don't know. Our kids don't know how to get along. So, I want my kid to be able to interact with any person, adult or child, in an articulate way, and be able to articulate his wants, his needs, his desires, his emotions. He needs to be able to articulate how things made him feel, or, without texting and without getting into a shouting match or anything. It just needs to be able to, they just need to be articulate enough to do that. So that's my thing about back to school. I'm thinking that that I don't know, I'm trying to just think of things that'll help kids, that will help them to understand and be better and do better. And because parents are not the parents that our generation had. When I say our, I mean 40, 35 and 40 and up, so things are a lot different. Everybody has to work, where you might have stayed home with your grandma didn't have to work, or you might have stayed with your grandpa and your grandpa didn't have to work. But these people, we nowadays we have to work sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. Everybody gotta work. So I say that to say, let's go ahead and be mindful of that, and make sure that we are doing our kids justice and not injustice by sheltering them in a ball and making them think that this is how the world runs, because this is not how the world runs. The world encompasses all different types of people, all different colors and origins and backgrounds and economic backgrounds. And we need to be able to be mindful of that, so that our kids are mindful of that. Our kids need to see us having articulate conversations with our peers, so that they know how to have an articulate conversation with their peers, because you think they not watching, but they watching your every move. So why you up there talking about, girl, I do this to him and this, that, and the third, and WAP. Yeah, it's a time and place for WAP. Don't get me wrong, but it's also a time and place for you to have articulate conversations with your peers. Hey, how you doing? What's going on with your building? How's your portfolio going? What's on the next? What's on your agenda to complete next? What's on your agenda to build next? What's your goals for next year? Blah blah blah. Let's have a vision board party, things to that nature. Your kids need to hear that. Let's play it. Before we do anything, let's pray. I heard you telling me about Bob, and you telling me about John, and John telling me about Susan. But let's pray about it. Let's pray, because God knows all. He is encompassed in all. And when you pray, God, when 2 and 3 come together to pray, God is in the midst. So teach your kids something. Let them see something different. Yeah, you gonna be you. You gonna be ratchet. You gonna like WAP. You gonna dance to WAP. You gonna twerk the WAP. You gonna talk about how it's about you. Da 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 da. But not in front of them. That's where I get upset with. We having too many grown folk conversations in front of children, and they think that's how they're supposed to talk. That's how they're supposed to articulate themselves. That's how they're supposed to move, and that's not it. We playing. We not for real. We joking. We having a good time. But kids don't realize that is not what you talk about every day. That is not your everyday source of conversation. That is just a this much, a little, not even an inch worth of information or conversation that you have with your peers. So it needs to they need to know how to evolve, just like you're evolving. They need to know how to taper their conversation for their environment, just like you need to know how to taper your conversation for your environment. You don't talk about this mother that blah, 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 and I'ma do this, I'ma do that, and at work. So you wouldn't want your child talking about, yeah, I'm gonna whatever at school. So help them to understand about tailoring and tapering and scaling back their conversation so that they can be better, do better, and have better. Our whole agenda as parents is for our children to far exceed what we've done, and to go farther than we've went, to have better than we've had. So just things to that nature. We need to be conscious of, how we are around our children so that they know and they understand that we want them to be better and do better and have better. So in order for that to happen, we got to teach them. They got to learn from us because they're watching. They are watching our every friggin' move. So we need to make sure that when they're watching our moves, that we are showing them the type of adult man or woman that they need to be. Because I'm not going to show my child how to be a stripper or a gigolo or a tramp, none of that. I'm not going to show my child how to be out here talking about get money from dudes and he need to pay your rent and da-da-da. No, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I'm not going to tell my niece that. I'm not going to tell my nieces that. So, yeah, I got sons, so I'm not going to tell my niece that. I'm not going to tell my little cousins that. Because that's not reality. Yeah, we joke about it, but that's not reality. That's not how things are to be done, should be done, or would be done in any capacity. So we need to be mindful of that before we start just telling people what we gonna do. And just, saying stuff in front of our kids because they can't decipher if we playing, we just saying stuff to be saying it, or if that's how the world works. So you really need to be mindful of that. So that's my rant about back to school. And I hope, every child going from preschool to senior year at college, I hope that every young person is going to thrive this year in spite of the pandemic. I pray that you would find your way, that you would do what you need to do in order to grow, in order to achieve your goals, and in order to be the best person you can be. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying or doing. Be you, do you, and greatness will find you. So I pray that, parents encourage their kids that it's okay to be unique. It's okay to be different. It's okay to stand out. It's okay to be a different type of person. It's okay to not want to follow the crowd. It's okay to be a leader and stand out. It's okay. You don't have to conform to the things of this world. Okay, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So renew your mind into something that you want to do and be, and set your faith and your eyes and your mind on that, because that will always make you happy, that you're doing what you want to do, that you're living the life that you want to live, that you're taking the classes you want to take, that you are focusing on greater and better and stronger, and that's all that you can do, and God will honor that. So I pray that this year doesn't cause anxiety and stress for school age children, but I pray that it would lead them to think, lead them to act, and lead them to transform. So that's my back to school. I hope you guys find something that you can use for your children. I just wanted to say that. I just know that it's hard for me to see my child just sitting in a room looking at the computer, and he wants to get about and being, just be himself. And it's hard because he can't do that. But, I pray that it's going to lift, that Corona is going to give us some much needed relief soon. So, also, I wanted to talk about this upcoming election. People, get out and vote. Voting, to me, is not an option. It's not an option. It is a privilege, an honor, and we have 53 days before it's time to vote. So I encourage you to learn about the people on your local level, state level, and of course the national level. Do you know that where I am in Michigan, Donald Trump only won the state by 11,000 votes? And I'm pretty sure that 500 of us know 2 people that did not vote at all that could have turned Michigan around for the final outcome. It could have turned Michigan blue if 500 of us would have found 2 people to vote that had not voted. This is the time to get your trappers, your rappers, your old grandparents that don't listen. It's time for the Jehovah Witnesses to rethink this thing about voting, because just you guys and your religion in Michigan could have turned it around. I understand your freedom of religion. I understand the things that you stand on and the words and all of that. But I also think that Jehovah, your God, will forgive you for trying to put this country back together. Because the word says the government is upon his shoulders. So he knows what's going on, and he's aware that things will be exactly what you need them to be. And I just encourage you to make sure that you vote. Do what you can to change the world. Do what you can to make the world a better place. Do what you can to turn Michigan blue. Turn your state blue. Every state that wasn't blue needs to be blue. We need to show the Jekyll that we are sick of him and we want somebody else. We want to see change, and that we want to move forward in our lives at a more I want to say reputable rate, because people think we are a joke. Other countries that used to, envy us, they think we a joke because we out here letting this clown do what he want to do. So we have to be mindful of that. And if we not going to be mindful of that, it's only going to hurt us and not it's only going to hurt us and not show us or teach us anything about what we should do and what we should have and how we should live our lives, because he's making a mockery out of the United States. So I just say, please, please, please wake up your trapper friends and drug dealer friends that's not in that do not have felonies, to get them registered to vote, because everybody is responsible for this world, the world that we live in, and we have to take ownership of that, and we have to do better and say better and live a better life. And we can't do that unless we all stand together and focus on our future. So you're gonna stand for this, or you're gonna bow for anything, fall for anything. And we can't do that. We have to take back our country. We have to take back the things that are important to us, our values and our love for the country. People don't even love the country no more because this jackal has really just messed up, the people and how they take and they act. And it's just a whole mess how he got us here. It's just a whole mess. So there's nothing that we can do but vote. It's the only thing we can do to see that he is out of here is vote. We have to learn that we have to be intentional about the things that we do, and intentional about the things that we believe in, and intentional about the things that are near and dear to us. So what's near and dear to you? Is it your family? Is it your job, your church, your pastor? Some of these things are being compromised because of this man, and we can't go for that. We cannot go for that. It has to be a way that we can see ourselves in a better position, and with that, with him out. So do yourself a favor, do this country a favor, do me a favor, and rock the vote. Go into the booth and rock the vote. If they sent you absentee, get on it, get it done. Take it down to the county clerk yourself. Don't wait on the USPS because they full of bananas. Let your vote count. Take it down there yourself to the clerk's office. When we get our ballots, we take them to the clerk's office ourselves, because I'm not going to be gypped of making my vote count by the